How to get out of depression, a scientific approach without toxic positivity. Imagine you've been lying in bed for 3 hours, staring at the ceiling and thinking that life is a meaningless series of identical days that drag on like chewing gum. Stand up? Why? To eat? I don't want to. Should I call my friends? And what to tell them? And then some cheerful guru from Instagram appears and shouts, "Just be positive, smile, everything will be fine." Congratulations, you've just received the most useless piece of advice in human history. It's like telling a man with a broken leg, just stop limping. Depression is not a bad mood. This is not laziness. This is not a weakness of character. This is a clinical condition where your brain is in emergency power-saving mode and literally isn't producing enough neurotransmitters to make you feel alive. But here's the good news. This can be changed. Not instantly, not like a magic pill, but systematically and scientifically based. I'm not going to tell you to pull yourself together or think about the good things. I will show you 6 working methods that really help you get out of this swamp. No toxic positivity, no motivational nonsense, just what research has proven. First, depression is a disease, not a weakness. Let's immediately remove the main illusion that society is driving in. Depression is when you're a wimp, a whiner, or just not trying to be happy. It's complete nonsense that kills people, literally. Depression is a neurobiological disorder. Your brain is out of balance with serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. It's chemistry, not character. You can't just get well any more than you can just cure diabetes with willpower. Yes, your actions affect the way out of depression, but this does not mean that you are to blame for getting sick. The most dangerous thing about this myth is that it makes people feel ashamed of their condition and not seek help. "I'm not some weakling, I can handle it on my own." No, you can't do it, just like you can't handle appendicitis on your own. We need tools, knowledge, and sometimes professional help. Admitting that you have depression is not a defeat, it's the first step towards healing. It's like knowing that a car is broken before you start fixing it. Second, movement is not motivation, but chemistry. Here's the most hated advice for a depressed person. Go for a run, it'll get easier. The problem is not that the advice is bad. The problem is how it's served. It's not about motivation and willpower. It's about biochemistry. Physical activity triggers a cascade of neurochemical reactions. Your brain starts producing endorphins, natural painkillers. The production of serotonin and dopamine increases, the very substances that cause depression. It's not the magic of positive thinking, it's physiology. Studies show that 30 minutes of moderate physical activity 3 to 5 times a week work just as effectively as mild to moderate antidepressants. Not instead of therapy, but as part of a comprehensive approach. But here's the key point. You don't need to run a marathon right away. When you're depressed, even getting out of bed is a victory. Start with a 5-minute walk around the house. Tomorrow, 7 minutes. The day after tomorrow is 10. Small steps work better than grandiose plans that you don't follow through on and then blame yourself. The secret is not in intensity, but in regularity. Even 10 minutes a day is better than nothing. The third, sunlight is a free antidepressant. Here's what no one explains. When you're depressed, you hide from the world. Close the curtains, lie in the dark because the light is annoying. And you're only making it worse for yourself. Sunlight regulates circadian rhythms, your body's internal clock that controls sleep, mood, and energy. When you don't see the sun, these clocks get knocked off and depression worsens. Moreover, light directly affects the production of serotonin in the brain. There is even a special diagnosis, seasonal affective disorder, SAD. This is when depression hits in winter precisely because of the lack of light. And do you know what helps? Light therapy. Literally sitting in front of a special lamp for 30 minutes a day and the condition improves. But even if you don't have a special lamp, just go outside in the morning, at least for 15 minutes. You don't have to do anything. Just stand and look at the sky. It seems ridiculous and useless, but your brain will thank you. This is one of the easiest and most underappreciated ways to help yourself. Fourth, social isolation is a death trap. When you're depressed, the last thing you want to do is communicate. People are annoying, conversations are exhausting, and pretending that everything is normal is unbearable. The logic is simple. I don't feel well, so I'll hide from everyone until I feel better. The problem is that isolation is not a cure. It is a symptom that makes the disease worse. Depression loves loneliness. She whispers to you, "Stay alone. No one needs your negativity. They're all happy, and you're a burden." And you believe these thoughts. But that's a lie. Social connections are one of the most powerful factors in overcoming depression. The human brain is evolutionarily attuned to social interaction. When you communicate with people you care about, the areas of the brain responsible for pleasure and safety are activated. No need to go to a party or pretend to be the soul of the company. It's enough just to tell one close person the truth. "It's very hard for me right now." Don't ask for help. Don't complain for hours, just voice it and meet to sit next to him, even in silence. If you don't have the strength to communicate personally at all, write a message, one voice call to friends, anything that breaks the isolation wall. Because in isolation, depression flourishes. Fifth, therapy is not for weaklings, but for smart ones. Here's a stereotype that kills. Only those who cannot cope on their own go to a psychologist. Translating into a normal language, I'm going to suffer alone because I'm afraid of looking weak. Congratulations, you chose pride over health. Therapy is working. This is a proven fact. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, shows the same effectiveness as medications, especially in the long term. The therapist will not pat you on the head and tell you that everything will be fine. He will give you the tools to work with destructive thoughts, help you see the patterns of behavior that drown you, and teach you techniques that really change your state. Depression distorts the perception of reality. She convinces you that you are worthless, that there is no future, that everything is meaningless, and when you are inside this state, it is very difficult to see where reality ends and the disease begins. A therapist is an external observer who helps to separate these things. If you don't have money for a private psychologist, there are free crisis lines, online support groups, and government psychological centers. If the depression is severe, you need a psychiatrist and possibly medications. That doesn't make you a nutcase. This makes you a person who cares about your health. Asking for help is not a weakness, it's courage. Sixth, small victories are more important than big goals. That's what kills people when they're depressed. They set themselves ambitious goals. I will start a new life. I'll run every day, eat right, meditate, and find a new job. And then they can't even get out of bed, feel even more worthless, and sink deeper. When you're depressed, your resources are at zero. You don't have the energy for big things. And that's okay. You don't have to try to jump over your head, you'll just fall and crash. Instead, focus on micro wins. Got out of bed? Victory. Brushed your teeth? Victory. Went outside for 5 minutes? A damn heroic victory. Don't devalue these things. For a healthy person, these are small things, but for a depressed person, it's a marathon. Keep a list of small victories. Literally write it down. Today, I did X, Y, Z. Even if it was, I ate, I took a shower, I answered the message. Your depressed brain focuses only on the negative and ignores any achievements. The victory list is a way to trick this system and show yourself that there is progress. Getting out of depression is not a leap, it's a crawl. Slow, gradual, sometimes with setbacks, but every little step counts. Results. How to get out of depression. First, depression is a disease, not a weakness. Acknowledging a problem is the first step to recovery, not defeat. Second, movement works at the level of brain chemistry. Start with 5 to 10 minutes of walking a day. It's better than nothing. Third, sunlight regulates mood. 15 minutes outside in the morning, free antidepressant. Fourth, social isolation worsens depression. One conversation with a loved one can change everything. Fifth, therapy is a tool, not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is courage. Sixth, focus on small wins, not big goals. Every step is important. If you have suicidal thoughts, seek help immediately. Call the crisis line or an ambulance. It's not a shame, it's necessary. A bonus. The main principle is that getting out of depression is a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself. You are not weak, you're sick, and you can get well. Subscribe to the channel to learn more about real self-development without toxic positivity.